What kind of church is this? What kind of church is this? This is a place where things happen. Feast of church. What kind of church is this? What kind of church is this right here? What kind of church is this? This is have you tried Jesus? He's alright. Have you tried it? Have you tried Jesus? He's alright. Have you tried Jesus? He's alright. Have you tried Jesus? He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. I know he's here. He's alright. He's on time, God. He's alright. Yes, he is. He's alright. He's been through here. He's alright. He turned me around. He's alright. He fixed my faith. He's alright. On solid ground. He's alright. He gave me joy. He's alright. He gave me joy. He's alright. Joy. He gave me peace. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. Woke me up. He's alright. For the child. He started me out on my way. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. I know he is. He's alright. I know he is. He's alright. He's a miracle worker. He's the way I know it. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. He's alright. God bless you. Heaven smile down upon you, to our deacons and to our Mother Hopkins and trustees, to my mother, all who are here and make up the household of faith. Good morning to you, and it's ever grateful. I'm ever grateful for you to come and share in service today. I won't be before you long, but I do have a testimony.
Amen.
There's somebody here, you've been sitting in your seat and you wasn't able to tell your testimony. But whether you was able to tell it, I know you have one.
Amen.
You have a victory story, you have some trials, you have tribulations, but through it all, that God had kept you in the midst of your storms. David had a victory story. He had a testimony in the 18th Psalm. And it says in the 18th Psalm, David, the chief musician, wrote a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spake unto the Lord. And the words of this song: in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hands of his enemies and from the hands of Saul. I don't know about you. Have you ever been in the hands of your enemies?
Amen.
Want to talk to you for a few moments on He delivered me out of the hands of my enemies. He delivered me out of the hands of my enemies. The first verse says, and I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. Whenever you have to face a situation or a battle, the first thing you got to know is where your help comes from. If you ever put it in the hands of God, you can testify and say, all my help comes from the Lord. Because the kind of help that God gives is a constant kind of help. You can run in some battles and you got your friends with you. Just in case the battle get too heavy, you'll turn around and you'll find yourself standing there all alone. But if you go into battle with Jesus Christ, I don't care what comes your way, no matter the storm, the rain, or the wind, that Jesus is my strength. David says in the second verse, he says, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in him whom I trust. I just want to tell you today that whenever you are engaged in a situation and it seems like you won't make it another day, your testimony should be that God is my rock. And if God is your rock, that means there ain't no wind strong enough to take you down. God is your rock, and there ain't no enemy strong enough to knock you out. If God is your rock today, there's no sickness that could take your life. The only way sickness can come and take your life unless God allows it to be so. Amen. Because there's somebody under the sound of my voice, there's people out there who listen to us on the web. They've been sick and the doctor's giving them up. But God was their rock. He was a fortress. That means that if I'm in the center of all my trouble, God, he encamps himself around me. So it doesn't matter what I got to go through, God, he encamps himself around me. And when God encamps himself around me, you can say no matter the snares that came my way, God was right there. God was there because he loved me. And God was there because he says, I won't even let trouble, sickness, heartache attack your body because I'm with you. Yeah. So many times the enemy, they tried evil and they spoke evil of us. But God says, I'll turn that around and work it out for your good. There's somebody here, the devil been trying to attack your body and attack your mind, but God worked it out for my good. While I was in the middle of all of this, I thought that the Lord had forgotten about me, that he left me alone. But what I found out is that I'm never alone when Jesus Christ is in your life. Yeah, David, he's rejoicing now because he was out of the hands of his enemy. And I tell you, whenever you get out the hands of your enemy, you got to thank God for what he's done. And then our churches today and then the world today, saints, we're too quiet. We don't give God the praise after he takes us out of the hands of our enemies. You know, we can't pay God enough for what he done. We can't give God enough for what he has provided. But what we can do is lift up our hands and give God glory and testify that he brought me out of the hands of my enemies. Well, the enemies won't like it, and your friends may not like it when they see that God's been doing a great thing in your life, but you still got to walk around with your head up high and give God the glory for all he has done for you.
Amen.
Second says, the Lord is my rock, he's my fortress and my deliverer. Has anybody here can say, I've been delivered?
Amen.
Yeah, I've been delivered. I've been delivered because there was a process that I had to go through to get where I'm at today. I've been delivered. And I understand that the deliverance that I got, it wasn't because of me. This deliverance that I got came from the Lord on high. Because I was in such a terrible place. If it wasn't for God, I tell you, I wouldn't be standing here today, but I've been delivered. There's somebody here, you've been delivered. You've been delivered from drugs and alcohol. You've been delivered from naysayers, and you've been delivered from haters. There's somebody here been delivered from sicknesses. There's somebody here who's been delivered from their brothers and their sisters. There's somebody here who's been delivered from enemies on your job. And you know it's terrible to walk into a workplace and you have people who won't wish you no good. But I come to tell you, if God on your side, you can say in a loud voice, in spite of what you try to do to me, I've been delivered from the hands of my enemies.
Amen.
Yeah, he delivered me out of the hands of my enemies. And I like that thing says, in him will I trust. So I just want to tell you, the first thing is trust in the Lord and he shall deliver you. If you can trust in your mother, trust in your father, they'll do all they can, but there's a limit to what we can do. But the old saint said that there is no secret what God can do. For what he done for others, he'll turn around and do the same for you. Trust in God. You trust in God, you can walk around like David said in Psalms 23, and yea, though I walk through the valley. And in this valley, sometimes it seems like you're about to be overtaken, but he says, thou art with me. The second thing I want to tell you, God is with you. Yeah, don't never give up on God, because God is with you. And you got to be able to declare and decree with your mouth, I may be in a storm, I may be in trouble, I may be going through, but God's with me. How do I know that he's with me? Because he promised, he said, and lo, I'll be with you always. And I come to tell you, every once in a while, you have an always moment. That means that when you hear bad news, you tell God to be with me always. That when your enemies try to take your life, you tell God, be with me always. If you can't sleep at night because you've been tossing and turning, you tell God to be with me always. Says, I'll be with you always. And then he went on a little further, says, my buckler and my horn of salvation. And God is a strong and high tower. I tell you, you can't lose with this God I use. Is there anybody here, you can declare that God, he delivered you out of the hands of your enemies? Well, I just want to testify, I was in the hands of my enemies in 2006. And I told my father, after I left the doctor's appointment, it was he and I riding. I said, Dad, listen, I'm going to die. And I want you to make sure that my daughters are well taken care of. And I couldn't get this devil out of my body. I was so sick unto death. I was sleeping in my mother and father's house, and I would go back and forth to the doctors. Till one day, I'll never forget it, I was riding to Aunt Sonia, and the telephone rang. It was my doctor's office. They began to run down all the cultures and all of the blood work unto me, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I said, man, God, you got me here 35 years old, and it seemed like I won't live to be 36 and 37. And you know something? Only thing I did was I trusted in God. Amen. And I told my father, I said, Dad, listen, since I'm so sick, I don't want God to come back and my work isn't done. I said, Dad, I just want to do everything I can do for the Lord while I'm able. Amen. Started changing my life. I started coming to church. I started turning over everything. And then I give my life to Jesus Christ. And when you give your life to Jesus Christ, he'll start fighting your battles. Amen. Well, I come to tell you, I've never been so strong because God took the devil out of my life. And God delivered me, and I'm still standing strong, testifying that he delivered me out of the hands of my enemies. There's somebody here, you got a testimony and say, you know something, preacher, I understand what you're talking about because God delivered me too. Delivered me when I wasn't able to fight for myself. God delivered me. Who in here can say, I got a David story? I can testify that God, he delivered me out of the hands of my enemies. Amen. What I like about Job is Job, he was in the hands of the enemy. God allowed Job, he was one of the most men in the Bible who God talked about. He says he was a good and perfect man. But one day he found himself in the hands of the enemy. So you might be doing everything right and still find yourself in the hands of the enemy. Amen. But I just want to tell you, when you find yourself in the enemy's hand, don't blame God, trust God. Yes. And when you trust God, he will work it out. Amen. I don't know how God worked these things out. I don't know how he allows us to go through it. But one thing I do know, that if you trust him, he will deliver you right on time. Yeah, I've been delivered right on time. And when he delivered me, I came out screaming, shouting, and jumping up and down. Hallelujah. You ought to be able to go and witness and testify to somebody else. Tell them, don't give up yet. Because the God you serve, he's going to deliver you out of the hands of the enemies. Well, there's going to be some that won't be delivered. They won't turn from their wicked ways. And there's going to be some who will be lost. But if you are still alive, no matter the condition of your soul, you still have a chance to see Jesus. Amen. And this should be the prayer of every person, is to see Jesus one of these days. Well, the first thing you got to do is just give your life to Jesus Christ. Amen. Turn your life over to him. You won't be perfect. And you know, a lot of people put limitations on you that they can't even live up to themselves. When they see that you're falling short, they'll go running their mouth and talking, and they're not living 10 minutes for Jesus Christ. First, you got to give your life to Jesus Christ and say, Lord, take control of this life of mine. And the second thing you have to do is know you have somebody who you can depend on. Yes. I can depend on Jesus. Amen. Whenever trouble comes my way, I can depend on Jesus. And then the third thing is come to Jesus and tell God you're sorry when you've fallen short of his will. Yes. I tell God I'm sorry every day, Mother, because in all the good I do, sometimes the devil and evil is always present.
Amen.
And I try to tell God, God, just forgive me and clean me up for your service,
God.
that I might be able to serve you better.
Yes.
And as I sit down, I want you to remember that when God delivered you out of the hands of the enemy, you got to witness to somebody else
Amen.
of what the Lord has done for you.
That's right.
Because there's some people, they're living, it seems like, in an impossible situation. But we know a God who can do the impossible. So we got to speak life into their circumstance and to their situation. And then we got to come up in a loud voice and said, I've been delivered. I like that thing. And I'm sitting down, man, when I tell people I've been delivered and I see people who've been talking about me, they curl their face up. Whatever. I like that, Blue. When I put my hands up and say glory, they look on. But see, one thing that makes me so excited is that while they're curling their mouth up, what they don't understand, that God is blessing me right now. And in spite of your faces and in spite of what you turn your mouth up, I've still been delivered. And if you would try the God that I serve, he'll deliver you too. And you won't have time to laugh and talk about me. You'll just be busy praising God for what he's done for you. Well, he delivered me out of the hands of the enemy. And I've been set free by the grace of God. And I am excited because the God we serve, he stands waiting for us. And not only is he waiting, he's willing. And he's ready to fight in our behalf. Yes, Lord. Grace, peace be unto you from God on Father on high. And our prayer today is that God keep us and allow us to fellowship again next week. Amen. And that God keep us in a fence of protection around each and every one of us. But just in case one of us should fall asleep by next Sunday, we still can stand up and declare in a loud voice that God had delivered us out of the hands of the enemy. Wonderful change has come all over me. Oh, change my life complete. And now I see. Listen, is there someone today who would desire to have